Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited to have you with me. I am Chris Williams, and I am here with my amazing friend, Tara Antler. I'm so excited to have her as a guest today on the Boutique CEO podcast. Tara, I'm so excited to have you here.
So happy to
Welcome.
be here. Thank you so much for having me. So
Yay.
grateful.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. So you and I, we definitely are like kindred spirits for sure. Our background and our paths have kind of like done this and interwoven in so many different ways. And you've built such an incredible community of soulful women and men that are inside of your programs as well. And I just wanted to kind of have you share a little bit about kind of like a little bit about your journey. What is it that you're doing today? You know, we know that we evolve through the process, and you're like one of the OGs here with spiritual entrepreneurship. So I would just love if people could hear a little bit about you and your journey and your thoughts.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I loved actually our conversation the other day. Chris and we unraveled so many moving parts that our journeys were so similar.
I
You know,
know,
the
it's crazy.
the journey that we've taken from massage and to helping people, building businesses, doing all the different things over 20 years ago at a time when
Mhm.
those things were kind of different and new and unusual. You know, it wasn't the
Yeah.
norm to have energy healing and holistic modalities. And so I love that we had so many similarities in that way, and I'm very grateful. So grateful to be here.
I know.
Yeah,
We
it's
could
so
have
good.
talked forever. I was like, oh my gosh, we've been talking for an hour.
Right?
Like,
I know.
talked for more hours.
I know. And it's so fun to be able to learn about other people's paths too and to hear where we start, where we are now, and then this entire experience that we've walked that's just been so beautiful and vast. And knowing that the entire way through, I think this was the cool common thread between us was that the entire way through, we really listened to our soul, our higher self, and creator, and what was being guided of us at that time,
Yeah.
especially at a time when there were so many unknowns and we were really forging new
Yeah.
territory and new paths that hadn't been walked as yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Hmm.
crazy when we think about it, right? Like now
Right?
it's you see more of it, right? You see it's so much more common. But back in the day, it was like, is it okay for me to even talk about this?
Right? That's exactly
Right?
it.
And you were
That's
just like, boom, like you're like, I'm here. We're talking about it. This is what we're doing. And I love that you forged ahead and kind of created that space in our world and in our, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, our quantum temporal lobe of whatever it is to kind of bring ideas and possibility for spiritual entrepreneurs and, you know, amazing women like you to share their message and to help others. So it's
Yeah,
so, so cool.
it was such a beautiful, path to walk too, because I was thinking about this the other day. It's not like I set out to become a healer or a soul coach or intuitive or any of those things. I didn't
Mhm.
set out with that in mind. But what I did know, and this is why I always think it's so fascinating when we look at what were we drawn to when we were little?
Yeah.
What was placed in our heart? What were we naturally drawn to? And you and I, we were laughing, because I was drawn to crystals as well. And I was drawn to like talking to nature spirits and living in a way that was just so deeply connected to source, creator, the earth, being aware of energy, sensitive to energy. And thankfully, when I discovered meditation at 14, that really
Mm.
gave me a sense of internal belonging because the outside world, there was no place to belong in that sense back
I
then.
know, right?
Right? There was nowhere to go. Like, who do I talk to about these things? And anybody I tried to talk to, they were like, okay, you're a little
Yeah.
weird. So we're like, and we're going to lock that down. And
Right.
I remember searching for people who were also, and so I would try to talk about it or I'd want to open up the conversation and I'd just see people glaze over or look at me like I had 10 heads. So I was like, well, we're just going to lock that down a little bit until the time's
Mhm.
right. And that's why I'm so grateful, on the spiritual path that things also showed up to support my journey.
Mm.
Because if not, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I would. I probably would have still
Yeah.
become what I thought I was going to do in university and become a physiotherapist. And one more time, can I ask you to lift your arm and lower it? And thankfully, that wasn't my path and creator opened up other journeys for me to walk. And it started right back then when I was 14
Mm.
in meditation. And this beautiful English teacher, he said, you can pick any subject you want, whatever speaks to you, and I'll help you find the books. And if you can't find them in the library, let me know. Back then, we didn't have internet, right? So he said,
Right.
I'll help you
The
find
card
what you
catalog.
want. Yeah,
The
exactly. And
library, the
and
Dewey Decimal System.
that's exactly it.
Right.
And he said, he was talking one day about going on these retreats in California, and he was talking about in this meditation circle, and I leaned in, and he said this guy started levitating, and I'm like looking around the room, I'm thinking, is anybody else shocked by what he just said, or is it only me? And no one else seemed as interested, but I leaned in, and the more I asked questions, the more he would open up, and he'd talk about yoga and meditation and energy work. And so when he said you could pick any subject, that became my subject. But of course, there were no books in the library about those things. And so he said, give me a couple days, I'll gather some books for you. I still have them on my bookshelf. He handed me four books
Aw.
that day. One was
Aw.
on yoga, one was on meditation, one was on reflexology, and one was on qigong and energy healing. And
Wow.
he gifted them to me because he said, you obviously like there's something here for you.
Wow.
And it was the most fun book report I have ever done in my entire life, including university years, because I was so passionate about this subject.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
started this snowball for me that I knew there was something I had tapped into, and
Hmm.
I didn't know where it was going to lead,
Hmm.
until it was like third year university. I went in, I did the traditional, I did health sciences, and thought I'd
Hmm.
become either a doctor, a nurse, a physiotherapist, an occupational therapist, maybe a massage therapist. And then there was this class in alternative and complementary medicine. And it was the first of its kind in Canada. And they had all these practitioners coming in who were speaking about energy healing and reflexology and network chiropractic and all these other things. And that was it for me.
You're
I
like
thought, if
that.
that's it,
Yeah.
I'm a kid in a
Mhm.
candy store right now. If I can find a school where I can learn to become any one of these modalities, I will
Yeah.
be the happiest kid for the rest of my life. And I
Yeah.
did. And I found a college. I went back to school and I became a holistic healthcare practitioner. And, from that time forward, there's been so many twists and turns and iterations, and
I
every
know.
one has been so remarkable and so fulfilling.
Yeah. And I love how you just listened, right? It's like you're like,
Mhm.
okay, like I'm just going to listen. Like you trusted that pull in your
Yeah.
heart and in your soul to be like, I'm going to lean into this because this feels, and I love that your teacher was like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, no, like he saw it. He was like tapped in. He's like, she needs to have these books. And yeah, and
Yes.
the iterations are so different, right? So from healthcare practitioner, holistic healthcare practitioner to now running the Ascension Academy of Light,
Mhm.
and all the different, pathways that we go. It's like, I share, with many of my clients too. I'm like, I didn't like decide when, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do this and like this is where I'm going to end up. Like
Right.
I ended up like here with like multiple twists and turns. And I keep saying it's like I took a hard right in Albuquerque and ended up as a business coach, and I'm like, how did I get here? Like I started as, a mom homeschooling her kids on a 50
Yeah.
acre farm, teaching yoga classes and meditation, and all of a sudden here I am helping others now, build and grow their own holistic practices. So tell me about the
Yeah.
Ascension Academy Light because
Yeah.
I want people to kind of hear what it is that you're doing now today and all of the juicy stuff that you've got going.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So
Yeah,
cool.
it is beautiful because Gabriel and I, when we met at Agape in California 16 years ago, we knew as soon, like we were engaged within 3 months. We got married in 6 months of meeting each other. Like Creator had us,
Wow.
just like when I became a healer, you're on
Yeah.
a fast moving train. And it was the same thing when Gabriel and I met. And we knew before we even met each other, when we talked about it after, we both had this feeling we had grown as far as we could solo. And it was
Mm.
time to meet that divine partner. And that's when we connected. And again, it was this fast moving train. And we kept hearing, you need to join your businesses together. And I was
Mm.
so hesitant because I had already built so much at that point when we
Yeah.
met.
Yeah.
That there was a part of my ego identity at that point was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
ready to let go of that version of me and all that I've
Yeah.
built. And we're just going to join our businesses together. And
Yeah.
so I had to grow into that a little bit. And thankfully I did because once we did and it landed, Gabriel was all about ascension. I was all
Mm-hmm.
about the Academy of Light. This was coming in for both of us individually. And then finally we just had to talk about it. And it landed. And we said, what if? And what would this look like?
Mm-hmm.
And we had this whole framework and vision drop in where there would be trainings and certifications for those that wanted to walk that path because we knew there would come a time where we would want to pass the torch. We would want to light
Yeah.
others along the way and say, I don't want to maybe see that many one-to-one clients anymore because I was
Yeah.
sharing with you, I used to see 30
Yeah.
clients a week.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was crazy. And most of those sessions were 90 minutes. And I was
Wow.
booked out like 4 weeks in advance. And it was beautiful for the time that it was. But
Yeah.
now we have three little ones. We homeschool as well.
Yeah.
And so we knew it was time to bridge this, bring it together. And so the Academy of Light now has our certification programs. We also have our personal development. So this, and we're evolving and expanding this right now, which I'm so excited about because a lot of people come to us and ask us, how do you teach these things to your kids? Because
Yeah.
they see us integrating. And I said, I
Yeah.
should just turn on the camera when I'm teaching them about investing, conscious
Yeah.
investing, or
Yeah.
conscious relationships. My
Yeah.
friend Jenny and I, we had to have a little friendship intervention with our daughters because she's super conscious
Mm.
too, and just teaching them about what it means to have healthy relationships and care
Mm.
for one another and how to
Mhm.
communicate what we feel. And
Yeah.
most kids, like, I was never taught that as a child. I
Oh,
didn't learn
heck
that till my
no.
20s,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yes, totally.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a beautiful gift.
Yeah, so we're building out that section of it right now. So there's already the personal growth and development from a spiritual perspective, intuition, learning about energy work, healing,
Mhm.
relationships. We really are adding in now this section of the homeschooling parents or people that just want to include some of these things that we're already doing with our kids
Yeah.
because it's so easy for us. So we
Yeah.
have the
Conscious
certification.
parenting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the certifications, we have the personal development, and then we've had for a long, long time our professional leadership because for me,
Mm.
I've always been a leader. I've always led when no one else was standing for
Mhm.
things, and
Mhm.
people just were drawn to that. And they said, do you have a space? They were asking, do you have a space that we could just drop into and have honest conversations about life and family and partnership and money and business and all the things? And I'm like, well, let's create it. And so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
always just would show up, we'd show up for how our clients were what they needed and what they were
Yeah.
asking for. And so that's
Yeah.
what the Academy of Light looks like now.
That is so beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you're listening to what your clients needed. I
Yeah.
think that that is so important, especially in today's age. I know you talk a lot about, the importance of the soul and human interaction and making sure that relationships
Yeah.
are dialed in there too. And I really think it's so important as well because your people will tell you exactly what it is that they
That's
need.
right.
And if you listen, and then you can create based on what it is that people are actually asking for
Mhm.
versus people getting stuck around, I don't know, what is it that I do? What should I offer? It's like, well, what are your people telling you? Like
That's right.
what is it? What's the solution that you can offer to the people that are saying, I really need help around this piece?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think about even one of our main pieces. I don't even want to call it a program anymore because it's more like a lifestyle
Mhm.
experience. What it started out as like 6, 7 years ago, people were really scared. If we rewind
Mhm.
back to like 2019 and
Yeah.
2020, people were really scared. And so a lot of our focus was on empowerment and moving through that fear around their
Mm.
bodies and their health and their well-being
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
creating the reality in the world that they wanted. Fast forward to today, like I just did a Q&A and I said to Gabriel 2 weeks ago, I said, we have to have straight up money conversations. And I
Mm.
joked with them this morning. I said, it's not like I woke up and said, I am going to be teaching about money, like that it was never something I planned or wanted, but it's just listening. And people were crying today because they said,
Oh,
thank you for opening up a space to have these honest conversations just about money. And I
yeah.
said, if we can't talk about like, well, usually the three big topics, right? Money, sex and intimacy, and politics. If we
Yeah.
can't talk about these
Yeah.
things, but they're big areas of our life, then what are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
And so it really has been this journey of listening and allowing people to come and have a safe space to just arrive and be and show up at the table with
Mhm.
whatever they've got going on because it's all interconnected.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and right
yeah,
now we are having these very honest, deep conversations about abundance and money and creation. And what does that look like in a time right now where there's so much
yeah,
unraveling and
yeah,
falling and changing? And
yeah,
even in the world of business, you know,
yeah, yeah.
there's a lot that's stirring within. And so we're
Yeah.
all having to navigate new landscape again.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing because it's interesting. I normally wouldn't equate money conversation with spirituality,
No.
right? Like normally we're like, okay, well, it's spiritual and then there's logical, which is the money. Like the spiritual is the emotional and the
Mhm.
inside, the energy work and everything. And then there's the logical about the money. So I love that you're giving people a place to have both. It's a both
And
and. Not
it was,
either
I love, yeah, I love that you bring that forward because it was an awakening moment for them too, because they're coming with these real tangible things that they're seeing happening with investments, for
yeah,
example, right? And
yeah,
watching drops and they're freaking out. And I
yeah.
said, okay, here's what I want you to look at for a moment. When we're facing something really hard, like a trauma from the past, something that
Mhm.
needs to heal, what does it usually come in a really beautiful, shiny gift where you're like, yay, you have this wonderful thing that you need to address and you need to heal? No, it doesn't
No.
really do that. It usually drops us to our knees. It usually is very crunchy. It's very challenging. It feels hard, but
Yeah.
that's our moment to look at it and go, wow, okay, this is challenging. There's a lot of entanglement here. Let me look at it and start to detangle it. So I
Hmm.
gave that as an example to them today. And I said, think about money just like if you were looking at relationship conflict
Yep.
or
Yep.
healing something. It's the same process. You guys,
Hmm.
and I had to remind them, I'm like, you know how to heal
Hmm.
relationship issues. You know how to heal when it comes to your own health and well-being. Now we got to heal this money story thing because if
Yeah.
we don't,
Yeah.
from a conscious perspective, I don't think you want to carry that into what comes next.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah.
really cool for them to see as well that they go, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be so big and scary and
Mhm.
finite and boxy, that it's just another element and layer of our life. And we
Yeah.
can
Yep.
feel empowered and heal it.
Yeah. And another form of energy. And that
Yes,
total, I mean, they're already in the energy realm. Like if we see it as relationship, having a relationship with money, and we see it as energy, which is, oh my gosh, one of my mindset coaches was one time shared that money is the echo of value. Money is the
100%.
echo of value. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
100%.
love, 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 love that. It's not
Mhm.
like this hard to get thing. Like it's
No.
here around us all the time. And when we are feeling safe or not feeling safe, that is going to
That's right.
affect, the our own relationship of the way that we're perceiving money and abundance. And I don't know, I just think money and abundance is it's all related. It's
I
well,
agree with
everything's
you.
related, right? Energy is
Mhm.
energy is energy.
That's right. And I think when people can start to feel that, it creates this feeling, you know, where they're like,
Yeah.
okay, it doesn't have to be so heavy, that I
Yeah.
can let go of some of the conditioning around this and get to that space where money is energy and currency and the reflection of what
Hmm.
we are. And if we
Yep.
can purify that, cleanse that, heal that, bring in the energetics, which I love, bring in the
Right.
energetics and, be able to allow ourselves to come into the full expression of whom what we are, like
Yeah.
really become our higher self, really become that full expression on all the levels. This is where we get to have a lot of fun, even if
Yeah.
there's things crumbling around, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And money is so it's one of our safety issues. It's one of our
Yes.
safety and control. And if we don't have it, we could die. And, but if we
Hmm.
have too much, we might be perceived as but like there's so much
Yeah,
story
that's right.
around it. And I love that you gave people a place to deconstruct that because it is a deconstruction. It's not like,
Yes.
okay, we're just going to have a money consciousness conversation and then it's a light switch. Like, okay, you're good
Yeah.
now. It's like I don't know. I don't For me, it seems like there is a constant
Hmm.
unraveling and bumping up against new places to say, oh, okay, I'm now bumping up against this place. I get to take a look at my relationship
That's right.
about that. Or what old story am I continuing to carry that isn't serving me anymore. And to
Hmm.
have somebody to help you navigate that, I think is critical. It's like
Yeah,
mindset
I
work, right?
agree.
I can't do it myself.
Hmm.
I'm in the bottle. I need somebody else's, eyeballs and heart with me in that process to say, okay, but like let's take a look at it this way. So
Yeah.
what a gift. I wish I was on
Yeah.
that
It was
conversation.
so good. I'll
I
send it
love
to
those
you. I will send
conversations.
it to you. It was so real and raw and which I love. Like I can go really, really high and like energy activations and the spiritual and the beautiful, elevated energy that we are. And I equally love the really raw conversations. I think that's probably why I became an energy healer and a soul coach and all the things too, because I
Yeah.
loved being able to sit with people to say it's okay. Like you can open up, it's safe. Let's have these
Yep.
conversations and lay it all out. I'm not going to judge you. If anything, if I hear it and see it, we're going to clear it immediately so that you don't
Yeah.
have to keep running with that current,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's so powerful. Like it just gives me chills on the top of my head, because it's the conversations I wish I would have had when I was younger,
Yes.
like to be moving
Yes.
through all this stuff, but then there's no one to talk to. Like, who do you go? Where do you go?
Yes. Yes. I didn't learn any of that until
No,
the past 15 years, right?
right.
Any inkling
Yeah.
that it was, that came into that actually money is energy. Money is an echo
Yes.
of the value that you're putting out in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, so freaking cool.
It's so good. It's all
So
so good.
cool.
And it
And you know
connects to
what I
the
love?
abundance conversation too,
Yeah.
because you focus so much on the abundance of
Mhm.
business
Yep.
and the abundance of what we get to create. And I do feel like when people get to have that energy of abundance and they get to create whatever it is that their soul is calling, and then
Mhm.
when they do it from this really beautiful healed space,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
used to have people say all the time, they're like, any business I would start, because I dabbled in network marketing. I did all the things
Uh,
back in the day. And here I am, like this 21, 22-year-old sprightly, whatever, and it all worked out and it all worked out. And everybody would come
yeah.
in there like, how did you do that? How
Yeah.
did you go from like in 4 weeks or 3 weeks, go from here to here? And my answer was the same for years. I said, I don't know other than it's energy.
Yeah.
It's pure
Yeah.
energy. It's being
Yeah.
able to come from that healed place and anything that creates a bit of I call it like a rumple, a riffle, a bump, a fumble, or whatever. Like if it's a
Yeah.
trigger and it feels uncomfortable, there's something in there for us to
Mhm.
unravel and to heal, to clear, and we can do it quite quickly. And once we do that, there's this space and freedom, and then the movement forward and expansion is so much easier.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that clearing. Like when you
Yeah.
talk about clearing, like
Mhm.
what do you mean by that? Like,
Yeah.
originally when I think of clearing, I'm like, let me go get my magic wand and I'm just gonna bippity
Yes.
boppity boo it, right? So like
Yes.
tell me, like let's share like all right, what does that
Yeah.
actually mean?
Yeah. So over the years, some of my favorite modalities to date, and I studied a lot. You and I were laughing about this. We both were like, if people were to see the certification wall, it would be like a museum, the amount of
Right.
like between you and I, it'd be a museum of certifications. And along the way, like the modalities that really moved energy fast for me had any of the energetics. So,
Hmm.
Reiki, therapeutic touch, chakra balancing. There was one that I learned that was called spiritual human energy nexus, Shen.
Mm.
It was amazing. It moved energy so fast. And then I learned DNA activation, theta healing, universal clearing. There were all these techniques. And when I was sitting in these rooms and I was watching people change their hair color and I was watching people
Wow.
spontaneously heal from
No, you're
conditions that
kidding.
were like, no, for real, like unhealable within a 3-day period. And
Wow.
I watched one girl, she used to have poker straight hair and she always wanted to have curly hair. And they did this DNA activation, ended up activating for curly hair. And her curly hair gene on the DNA strand and configuration happened to be linked to an old Scottish DNA strand that was inside of her that got activated. Next thing you know, her hair starts growing in red and curly.
Wow.
She did not
That's
have red
freaking
hair prior to
cool.
that,
Wow.
right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And our
That's
teacher, real
crazy.
time, she said, I want to do this for you, real time to show you. And I think she was probably in her mid to late 50s, like approaching 60 at this point. So she had some fine lines. And she said, I'm going to show you real time. I'm only going to do half my face. She goes, I'll go do the other half later. And she would use this technique of energy to erase the lines on her face. And she only did half. And she said, when you look at my face full on, you wouldn't really see it. But she said, if I took a piece of paper and I went like this
Uh-huh.
versus like this, you could see the difference in her face.
Wow.
There were miraculous things that happened in that weekend, and that blew open my mind to what was possible.
Hmm.
And I kept saying to Creator, and they would always say to me too, if this is taking too long, there's always a faster way. So I would always
Mm.
say, okay, well, show me. I was like
Yeah.
so curious all the time. And I'd
Yeah.
just say, show me, like, what is the faster way? Or I would see things in people's bodies, like tumors and things like that. And I wasn't trained to deal with those things, but I was starting to see them. And so I would ask Creator, I would say, okay, well, what do you want me to do with this? And they
Yeah.
kept using this term clear. They said, we want you to clear the energy. And I said, okay, great. What does that look like? And I would
Yeah.
surrender, and this light, the amount of light and the light particles and the light frequency, I could almost hear it. This light would come through and it would start to like if it was a tumor, it would start to unravel the tumor, clear it, lift it out, and seal it. And it would be done within like less than 5 minutes. I
Wow.
watch people's vertebrae go back into place after having herniated discs for years. I watched
That's
somebody
amazing.
heal an ice pick migraines, which I hadn't even heard of. He had had them for 30 years. And one session where he signed up to do reflexology, but the energy work was coming in, gone. He stayed in touch with me for 10 years after, and he's still free from them. And so I realized if we could
Incredible.
shift physical things that were,
Yes.
pretty stubborn, we could shift anything. If there was a
Mm.
past trauma, if there was a story, if there was a hurt, if it was emotional, mental, spiritual, we could heal anything. We could shift anything. And so they said, well, apply the same technique. When we say clear, you're imagining that there is this source light. So you do have to kind of know that you're connected to something great, right?
Greater.
Like you're
Yeah.
connected
Yeah.
to source, creator, God, the infinite, the divine. There's many names for the same thing. So when I say clear, what I now know, I don't have to see it so much anymore, but when I was learning this, they would say, imagine connecting to source, connect to the divine. The moment you connect to the divine, it's like taking a cord and you plug it into the wall, and there's a current of light and energy that passes through
Mm.
that cord. You
Mm.
have this connection to the divine. Plug into it, and there's immediate light and a
Mm.
frequency and a light current that comes down. When you say clear, you are setting a very clear signal and command to not process forever,
Yeah.
not have to scrub and clean, which can feel hard, but clear, which is
Yeah.
like this instantaneous reset. And when I described it to my dad, I said, when a heart goes into cardiac arrest, the heart no longer is doing its regular rhythmic beat. It's
Right.
wobbling like a bowl of jelly, right? It's going like
Interesting.
this. When they put the electrodes on either side, they shock it. It's an electrical like, and what
Mm-hmm.
that does, hopefully, is it resets the electrical system so that the heart gets that jolt of electricity and then starts beating again and doing what
Wow.
it's supposed to. And they said that's what's happening when this light source comes through. And this is for everybody, like anybody
Mm.
can do this. And the light comes through. And when you set that intention to clear, the light just goes like, and it will literally clear right to the root. If you set
Wow.
the intention, clear this to the root, it will
Yeah.
clear it to the root of whatever it is. And
Wow.
so it's so fast. And I have watched, like, well, I shared with you, I've worked with more than 15,000 clients one to one now. And I've watched volumes of stuff clear for people in minutes,
Wow.
not months or years,
Yeah.
minutes. It's so fast, but we have to also know that we are pure energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the beautiful physical thing we get to feel and touch and experience the world. And we are pure energy. There is more energy in space than matter within us. And when we
Mm-hmm.
know that we're pure energy, we look at, well, what is energy? And to
Mm-hmm.
me, energy has always displayed itself as light. So if
Mm.
I'm pure energy and I'm actually light, and this is what we talked about, there was this cute little green book that somebody gifted me years ago. I'm trying to look for it. It's like a little green book, and it said, "What is a light body?"
Mm.
And this book was phenomenal. Like this has got to be at least 30 or 40 years in the making. And it was this really cool little book that talked about the currents of light and energy that we are. And the more that we clean up the density, you become lighter and brighter, lighter
Mm,
and brighter.
mm,
And
mhm.
I have seen that over time with people, myself, anyone. We get to be lighter. And when the density goes and it clears, you have more spaciousness for even more light. And then that
Mm,
light, I mean, gosh, like it's infinite. You can have more abundance, more creative ideas, more youthfulness. There's just
yeah.
this vibrancy that gets to come through us that changes our human experience here.
Wow. That's incredible, Tara. Like, I'm just
Mhm.
like, oh my God, that's insane. Like, I think that's so cool. So I'm
Yeah.
curious because we are energy, we are physical, but we also have a human brain.
Yes.
So, and our brain is designed to keep us safe. So it is kind of checking for danger and it wants to keep us like safe in this place.
Yep.
So I'm curious, what do you do when the doubt and the fear does come in? Like,
Mhm.
is it all right, just clear it at the root? I don't know what it is, but I just want it gone. Like, how do
Mhm.
you support your people inside of the Ascension Academy of Light when the doubt does come in, when they're like, well, I really do want this to work, but I'm not sure how it's going to work, or
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's different ways. Each person is different. Some people are super curious. Like me, I'm really
Mhm.
curious and I have a scientist heart. So for me, I always want to know, like, well, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But the moment you get curious, you will be shown. Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
are open, and I also recommend that everybody work on opening up their intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Our intuition has taken such a beating from our
Mm-hmm.
pineal gland to our
Yeah.
pituitary, like our system and that inner eye has taken such a beating. So we got to clean that off a little bit, open things back up because it makes it easier then to hear or feel or see
Mm.
the wisdom that's coming in.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because as soon as you get curious, the information's right there. So you're like, oh, and I had this happen the other day. I was literally mid-sentence and someone asked a question and I had the same thing come up for me. And so I'm teaching here,
Mm.
but I'm having this higher dialogue going on with my higher self. And I got curious and I thought,
Mm.
oh, I wonder where that came from for me. And while I'm teaching, I get shown like a movie being reminded in my mind, whoop, right here. And I was like, oh my God, I hadn't even thought about that. And
Wow.
it was just this flash image and that was it. And the moment I feel it, see it or know what that is, then that's easier to clear. Some
Mm-hmm.
people though, and I've watched this work for people. This is why I think that there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and a place where we get curious and we want to know what is all that past stuff that
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then there's a certain time, and because I also trained as a psychotherapist too, a spiritual psychotherapist, and there was a time where I thought, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I do not want to talk about, I want to move the energy. And
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
when the whole energy space opened up for me. And Creator said, you can move this faster. So I said, let's do
Mm.
that. And so
Yeah.
they said, if you can be willing to let go of like, when did this happen? And who was this
Mm-hmm.
with? And what were all the details? There's a part of our mind and our brain that has protected us from that because some of the things that some people go through is pretty traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Totally.
we're holding it, we're feeling it, but we don't always have to relive it. It's kind of like watching those scary movies like It or
Mm-hmm.
Chucky or things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I watch those. I don't ever want to see that stuff ever again. I
Me
had to scrub
either.
and scrub and scrub and scrub. So I think sometimes if the mind has protected itself from certain things, you don't always have to go back and relive and review that per
Mm-hmm.
se. But if the content is coming up, the trigger is coming up, or even if it's on the surface, you're like, I'm feeling constriction here, for example. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, what is that? I feel it. It's constriction. It feels tight. It feels hesitancy. I'm doubting myself. I'm questioning, or if it's in the heart, or it's on the shoulders, or it's in the stomach. Feel what the raw emotion is. And then if
Mm-hmm.
you can start to move the energy and clear, it will start to alleviate and release it. And then you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to go through reliving all that. I actually don't think that it's necessary at this point in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really don't.
That's
And
amazing.
I've watched people clear stuff and move through things. And this is what's so interesting is that things will always clear layer by layer. So I actually really appreciate that ego part of my being because if it is there to protect me, great, protect me. And
Yeah.
when I got the reins, I'm here to take the reins. And I
Yeah.
always say to the ego, I'm like, I'm going to keep growing anyways. So you can
Yeah.
either keep growing with me, but either way, I'm going.
Yeah.
And that creates a different relationship with my ego where the ego then softens a little bit more and says, okay, well then let's go. And it
Mm.
and it releases. I've always found when there's resistance, like if I'm fighting my ego or I'm fighting the past, or I don't really want to look at the past, but I want to heal it, but somebody's told me that that's the only way that I can actually clear something, you're in
Yeah.
resistance. And then
Mm,
all parts of you are going to fight to
right.
protect, fight to preserve, fight to hold on. Then the past is coming up, and then you're just like, I just want to be free, you know?
Yeah.
And so if
Yeah.
we can loosen the resistance a little bit, where we're like, I'm feeling something right now. I'm going to be empowered right now in this moment. I'm going to create some space. I'm going to clear it.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to the ego, if you feel that resistance, just say, hey, thank you. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
protecting this. Thank you for holding this. Thank you, brain, for protecting me and holding it down. And I'm really ready to let go. I'm ready to clear. I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to be free. And
Mm,
in that moment, that part of you goes, ah, okay, like I don't have to hold that anymore.
yeah. Yeah.
And then
Totally.
there's space. And
Yeah.
then it's so much easier to clear. There's no resistance then at that point.
That's amazing, Tara. Wow. That is so
Mhm.
cool. People are, yeah. So t tell us about your certifications because I know you've got
Yeah.
multiple. I want to kind
Yeah.
of check in
So
on
Gabriel and
that.
I, because we had worked with so many clients over the last, what's coming up to 24 years that I registered my business. And I just knew, like I knew out of the gates. I started
Hmm.
teaching Reiki early on. My teachers, they were asking me to teach chakra balancing and aromatherapy and reflexology and all these cool modalities. And I always said yes. And not knowing where it was going to lead to, and then
That's because
fast
you're a
forward to
natural
when
teacher.
right? Like, right? And they saw that. That was the other cool thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think people see things in us sometimes that we don't see within
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
I just want to echo that to everybody to be
Mm-hmm.
open to what people see within you, especially when they see the goodness and they see the light, because many times they're seeing things that could be 2 to 10 years ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that, trust that, receive that, it can be part of that next stepping stone along your path. And so when Gabriel and I joined together, I was already certifying people in Reiki and advanced energy healing and soul coaching. And he was doing a lot of the spiritual mastery
Mm-hmm.
work, a spiritual practitioner, because that's what he was really trained in at Agape was the spiritual practitionership. And so when we brought it all together and we said, okay, what are people asking for? What do they need? What do they love? And both of us, because Gabriel's been meditating since he was 3, I had been meditating since I was 14, people kept asking. They said, how do you, like, you don't use scripts. You're not
Yeah.
pre-planning. I've watched
Yeah.
you like drop in and lead a meditation without any preparation. How are you doing that? And
Yeah.
can I add meditation into my existing healing sessions? And we're like, yeah, of course you can. So that was our
Mm-hmm.
first together certification, was our meditation certification. And we love that one because it's such an easy framework and just giving people options of how
Yeah.
to lead meditation in a really beautiful way. Be mindful
Mm-hmm.
of our words,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
you have access to people's consciousness and subconsciousness. And so we
Mm-hmm.
want to be mindful as to the words that we're using. So that was the first one. Then the second one that we co-created together was our soul coach certification, which is the one we're getting ready to open up this summer. And so that's really like the spiritual, the intuition, coaching from the higher self perspective, but still moving people forward,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always seen that our higher self, yes, it's going to give us, insights and vision and all the gifts and the goods. And it wants us to do something with it. It doesn't want us to just be
Mm-hmm.
like, great, I got them. Now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
let's take a step. Like, let's do something. Let's move with that and be of service in whatever way that looks. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the second one we co-created together. And then the other two is our advanced energy healing, which we just wrapped up. So it was all like the fun energy healing modalities that I still use to this day. And then in the fall, late fall, Gabriel moves into his spiritual practitionership. I come in and do a few cameos, but that's
Mm-hmm.
primarily his baby and really stepping into what does it look like to be a spiritual practitioner and
Yeah.
lead with
Yeah.
that, to help
Yeah.
people move. And they're all very powerful in their own and they all have their distinct flavors. And it's
Yeah.
really, I would say, we were talking about, the reflection, money being a reflection and that echo. These certifications are definitely a reflection and emanation of our work and what
Yeah.
we've been put on this planet, I believe, to bring
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. Oh, that is so beautiful.
Hmm.
And so you've got a training coming up for the Soul
Yes,
Coach as
we
well. Will you
do.
share a little bit about that? And we will make sure, by the way, if you guys are watching this, please check in the description whether you are on YouTube, whether you're on Substack, because we will definitely post it there, whether you are on Apple or Spotify or whatever, like definitely click the show notes. You've got to go see the Ascension Academy of Light. Like it is amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you, honey.
Yeah, but tell us
Thank
about the
you.
Soul Coach because this is a
I
really
so
this is a
appreciate
free
it.
event that you get to go through.
Yeah, I
I'm
so
signed up.
appreciate
I'll be
it.
there. I'll see you all there.
Thank you. I so appreciate you. Yeah, this one, Gabriel and I were tuning in because every season that we've facilitated these certifications, which have been over 16 years now, there's always a different flavor. It's like a different
Mhm.
color band that comes through.
Mhm.
And because right now we're in this time of AI, we kept feeling into this question that we could almost hear in the ethers. Is there still a role for coaches and soul coaches and spirituality when
Mhm.
AI is touching everything now?
Right.
And so we had this name drop down. It's beyond AI. That's what we kept saying. We're
Mhm.
like, this is beyond AI. Like
Yeah.
what we're talking about is beyond AI. It's
Yeah.
beyond what this artificial intelligence is. We're talking about spiritual intelligence. We're
Yep.
talking about divine intelligence.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and right? So if that was the
Yes.
first part, it was like beyond AI, the rise of the soul coach. And I
Mhm.
kept feeling that. I said, this is time. This is our time for the spiritual coaches to rise up because there's so much dissension, concern, confusion around spirituality and religion. There's so
Mhm.
much confusion around what makes a good coach. The coaching industry itself has gone
Yep.
through a lot of iterations and changes.
Yep.
And so we want to have an honest, open conversation about we are going beyond AI and that there is still a role. And I think this is our season. This is our
Yeah.
era. This is our time for the soul and spiritual coaches to rise because they have the ability, soul coaches and spiritual coaches have the ability to cut through all that noise and to see the highest truth. And that's what
Mhm.
I believe people need right now. They don't need more coming
Yeah.
at them because that
Yeah.
just creates more confusion. We need to cut through the noise and that happens most easiest when we are connected to our soul self. So
Yeah.
we're going to be layering in those conversations and we're going to talk about abundance and talk about what that next path looks like for everybody and really start to have honest conversations because I believe that that truthful, space, it always creates freedom for us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. And I really
Mhm.
do believe that now is the best time as well. It's almost like, um, gosh, I was having a conversation yesterday with Anita, and she was interviewing me for the Soulful Abundance System, which is my proprietary method and what I teach. Um, and it's interesting because I used to, call myself a soulful business coach because I did believe that we were blending it. It wasn't just like a logical thing, like it incorporated identity and mindset and our own energy and what it is that we wanted to experience and feel. And she was talking about, my take on AI. And it's so fascinating because, one of the things that I've always believed in is that information doesn't equal transformation.
Mhm. I agree.
Coaches are here to create the transformation.
That's right.
AI can only give us the information. It
That's right.
can't teach us how to implement the information. It can't
Mhm.
teach us how to navigate the nuances when you are in the
Mhm.
process of implementing. And I think that people are desperate for wanting that human
Mhm.
help to navigate, those nuances and to have that connection with somebody who can,
Mhm.
just have their heart and their brain and their
Mhm.
their eyes with them in the
Yeah.
process instead of going down, oh my gosh, how many rabbit holes can you go down?
Oh my God, so many.
Hey,
Like even
with
when I was
AI,
like,
you can spend
right.
days down there.
Oh my God. And then it's like there's these like 60 pages worth of stuff and I'm like I can't. I
I
just
know.
can't.
And
Like
then what
that's
do you
just
do
too
with
much
that?
for
You're
me.
like, okay.
Oh my God. Even somebody said they're like, you still do your own workbooks? I'm like, yeah. They're like, why don't you send it into Claude to do? So I tested. I was like, I'll be open. I'm not against AI. I'm like, I'll be
Yeah.
open. I sat down this morning. I was like, here's our curriculum. This is what we're going to be covering this week. Can you help me create whatever? And I looked at it. I felt so disconnected and detached from it. And that's a no bueno for me
Yeah.
because if
Yeah.
I feel disconnected from something, I might well be talking about the wall and the lumber,
Right. Right. Right.
so
Yeah.
I said, I'm kicking it old school. I'm going back into my creative
Yeah.
design
Yeah.
version of me.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm going, I love creating the workbooks. It's part of the creative expression because it's like I feel when a flower needs to be here or when an image
Yeah.
of something needs to be
Yeah.
there. And so I'm not against it. And I do think that our human gosh, we're so incredible. Like we are
Yeah.
such brilliant beings,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I just want to echo to you, like, I love the work that you're bringing forward for your people. And you and I
Oh.
were talking about also supporting our clients because that's one of the things that I see a lot is that a lot of people, once they have and they know what am I doing and what's the business or what's the
Mhm.
service, having that support and what you bring in from such a beautiful, soulful place and from the OG space of doing all the different things, that is such a beautiful sweet spot that you are
Mhm.
in. And I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
that you're doing this work for your community. And I know you're going to be doing it for our community as well. And I feel so happy because people need that. We need
Yeah.
just as much as the spiritual, we need the grounded to, but also
Yes.
still staying connected to our heart and our soul to
Yeah.
say, I want to
Yeah.
create business and do
Yeah.
it in a way that I don't lose my soulful self.
Exactly. 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 Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I am
It's
so
so good.
excited. Tara, I could like talk forever,
I
forever.
know.
So, oh my gosh, there's like so many questions I have. We're definitely going to have to do another one for sure. So, tell us the date of when you're doing the
Mhm.
soul code. I know, or soul code. I don't know
Yes.
where it came from, but
Yes.
anyways,
Yeah.
it's going to be
The
uncovering all of that
master class.
inside of the soul coach.
Yes. So the master class is going to be on June 15th for the week, and then there'll be replays. And
Hmm.
then we'll move into the official like certification starting gently this summer. Because one thing
Okay.
that I was tuning into too, people love their summers and they love to
Yeah.
relax and they love to chill. So I said to Gabriel, why don't we just do the intuition portion over the summer because it's summer and
Yeah.
it's easy. It's like you're out in nature connecting and allowing
Hmm.
that spiritual, soulful, intuitive part to open and access while we're in it. And then
Yeah.
once we get into the fall, then we'll go into more of the nitty-gritty of like the soul coaching part of it and then the spiritual mastery and the spiritual practitionership. So yeah, so the masterclass starts in like a week. Less than
Amazing.
5 days.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys go click on that link. And you also gave some like pretty cool gifts. Like there's like a
Yes, we do.
podcast, a free podcast that when you
Mhm.
register, I took you outside with me. I took your podcast
I love
outside
it.
underneath the trees, took my shoes off, grounding outside in nature with my water, listening to Tara. I was
Oh,
like, this is so beautiful. What a
thank
generous,
you.
generous gift. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. And I appreciate you.
Oh, I know we've got a love fest going. I love it.
I know. I was like, my heart's like,
I
so good.
know. It's so fun. So is there anything that you want to leave us with today
Mhm.
before we close this container?
Yeah, immediately I heard trust. And I feel like
Mm,
trust is such a big part of this path that we walk, whether it's
mm,
trusting what we're here to do, trusting the step that's right now, trusting what's coming through us, and trusting that everything that you need is always going to show up. It's always going to be given. And that each of us were really placed here in such a divine fashion that if we just lean into that a little bit more and feel that a little bit more, you
yeah.
will get in touch with you, like the larger version of you, and you will just feel that. You'll know that. And you're like, yes, and I
Mm,
think that stops us from over comparing and looking over the fence
yeah.
or looking here and me like, what's everybody
Yep.
else doing? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what am
Yeah.
I doing? And what's
Yeah.
my soul asking me to do? And how am I being asked to show up today? And let me do that. Let me walk that
Yeah.
and trust that that is enough.
Yep.
Whatever the
Oh,
step is that you're in, that is enough.
yes, that is so good.
Mhm.
It's interesting that you said that because earlier I had the question pop in, and I'm like, ask her how she trusts.
It's so
I'm like,
funny.
oh, that's cool. So
Yeah,
we just didn't get there yet, but that's okay. We'll have a whole
yes.
nother conversation around
Yeah,
trust for sure. Amazing. Tara,
100%.
thank you. Thank you so much. I just adore you. I
Thank
love you so much.
you.
And just so grateful for all of the work that you're doing to help us on this ascension journey and the light and the love that you and Gabriel both bring. It's just so incredibly beautiful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. We will see you next time. Again, don't forget, go click on the link. Go tell Tara I said hello, or go say hello to her and tell her that you came from me because we want to know. And she'll get back with you. She'll say hi. Like she's a real person. She's not an AI bot. So go say hello and let us know, and we will see you back here next time. Bye, everybody.